Hello, and welcome to Circle Up, a short-form conversation series about storytelling, community, and the moments that bring people together in higher ed. I'm Zack Eagles, and in each episode I'll sit down with leaders across advancement, communications, and events to talk about the stories that move people and the craft behind creating connection. Well, today I'm excited to chat with Clare Wildenborg, Assistant Vice President for Duke Campaigns. Hi, Clare.
Good morning.
Can you tell us a little bit about your career journey, as big or as small as you want to go with it, but just what brought you to Duke? How did you eventually end up at Duke?
Sure. Almost everything was random because that's how things have fallen. English major and tried a bunch of things. So from teaching college English to teaching kindergarten to working in nonprofits. I got a temp job at Stanford, and quickly they're like, okay, you can stay for real. And I'm like, great. And I was there for 17 years. They were just beginning their campaign, the Stanford Challenge, which was a new idea, university-wide. And then two of the institutes that came up out of that campaign, I ended up doing the fundraising for another decade. And then Duke, I came to a conference at Duke, Strategic Initiatives Group for Advancement Professionals. And I came out and I got an Airbnb right before the conference. And by the time my boss got here, I'm like, I'm moving to Durham, North Carolina. And she's like, great, get a job at Duke. And they literally just finished their campaign. So I'm like, no, that's not going to happen. But I was determined. So 3 months later, this is 2017, before people were really working remote. I'm like, what if I just kept my job and still moved out there? My boss is like, no, not going to happen. But she literally went to bat for me. And for 5 years, I worked for Stanford remotely. And then Duke was in a transition and moving into campaign and realized like, oh my God, I'm in Durham. So we made a connection. There was a perfect position of kind of half operations, half development, and understanding that. So it was a really perfect kind of combination to bring me into this campaign.
I love that. And could you talk a little bit about the campaign and your role in it and kind of the success maybe you guys have seen so far?
The one that I'm in now.
Yeah.
At Duke. Yeah. It's the boldest campaign that they've ever tackled. It did not come out with a number. In the headwinds of higher ed right now, it's kind of something we needed to consider. What does it mean to put a number out there? And I think it's not just, it's a big number and people see that, and why do we need more money in higher ed? But this is also about the big challenges. So we're thinking climate change, we're thinking a health system, we're thinking science and technology. Like those are big numbers. And even you get to the multiple billions of dollars towards that, it's still a fraction of what's needed to do this, right? I mean, it's a culture internally on how you do that because it's not typical fundraising. Donors think about it differently, right? They're coming to it like with their passions versus just their pocketbook and affiliation. So it's just a different day of philanthropy. And then there's industry, right? And how does that play into these bigger societal challenges? So Duke is taking on science and technology, health, student experience, and the climate commitment. Those are the four big pillars, but it's still university-wide. It's a comprehensive campaign. So how then do you bring schools and units along in understanding that they are a part of it? And we're really trying to focus on these priorities and making a big impact that way right now. Some departments might not feel they fit into that, right? Or they're like, where are the arts, right? Well, I think there's ways to do that maybe in another campaign, maybe we don't do campaigns anymore. I won't go there yet. But how we think about the kind of philanthropy, right? That is needed these days. And then the approach to it. There's intent to do so and the want. So that kind of change is what I see fun and dynamic about campaigns.
And the campaign is called Made for This. And what does that mean to you? What does that idea of made for this mean to you? And how do you kind of use that as a rallying cry for people to see themselves in this story of the campaign?
Yeah. So the tenets of Made for This were some Duke distinctions that we called out. And this is across the board. Everyone's trying to find their distinction in these areas when it comes to science and technology and climate change and health, right? And if we don't all do it, we're never going to get there, right? Mm-hmm. But what were Duke's distinctions? The ways that they are outrageously ambitious, how they look for the yes, how they work as a team. And that was kind of a play on interdisciplinarity, which has become an old term and yet still misunderstood by so many on really what that means. And so those Duke distinctions have really resonated with the audiences, from the students to the donors to the volunteers to we're doing these spotlight events around the world. You're part of it. That comes through in a way that just saying we're doing health, science, technology, climate doesn't fall, right? Because we're speaking to an audience that understands the Duke community, that understands their tenaciousness, right? Their ambition. I mean, it's using the words that I think they would use to describe a place themselves, right?
Well, I think what I love about the Duke differences, especially, is it's just really smart storytelling. It's giving people a chance to see themselves in it. And like you said, like these are real characteristics that people really believe about Duke and about themselves. And it's like how they can kind of enter into the story. So how have you seen the campaign now that you have taken this on the road and reached so many different audiences already? What are like the moments you have seen where people are really engaged with this story, and how are you tapping in, kind of moving that needle for those audiences?
The arc of storytelling, I think, has evolved to bring the message of what do we need to do to scale these things up? What do we need to do to really like get that breakthrough? Like after London, this couple from Baltimore who had flown in because they heard about it, they stopped me for like 15 minutes to just go over the fact that they understood. I'm like, cool, really cool. When I was back end at Stanford, I didn't work with the production company. That was a completely separate team. So this has been super fun to kind of see it come to life, right? I mean, it's so flat when it's just looking at another fucking PowerPoint of Made for This, the Duke difference, this way and that way. It's like, okay, yeah. But to see it come to life, and then to see the alumni as a part of this, and that was a huge thing that we were asked of the president's office to think about in this, was to get the alumni voices, right? So it's not just the storytelling of us versus them. It's them reflecting on their Duke, on why they're made for this. So that's been cool to see their reaction and their like excitement.
I love bringing in like those authentic voices. I think that adds so much. And when we've been able to bring in like students and the videos and things like that, that also just that building that connection for audiences and being, especially like a place like London, and those people might not have been back to campus in a while, for them to be able to feel like they're back at Duke a little bit is nice,
And it did feel like that.
I would love to hear just like your personal approach to storytelling too. Like when you think of like your favorite story ever, what is the thing that you think about?
So True Romance is one of my favorite movies. I'm like, well, why is it my favorite movie? And other favorite stories or movies, it's usually because there's music involved and it's a soundtrack. Right. So I can recall like what I'm feeling at a moment in the story because of the soundtrack.
Is there anything that you've taken from just your personal love for music? I mean, the whole idea of music is really interesting too, because that's its own form of storytelling, obviously. And I think a lot about that too. I love music. I love like what a soundtrack can do for a film. That's something we think about a lot when we're putting like an event together, is like, what is the atmosphere you're kind of creating around what's also being spoken on stage? So is there like anything you've taken from like your personal love of music, storytelling, that kind of thing, and you've brought to your work?
It's more on a personal level of like, make sure you're doing a little bit of what you love, and that is part of your work life. I mean, it's that balance, right? I mean, we in our work are not like saving somebody, like nobody's going to die tomorrow because of our work, right? Yet there's a lot on the line, right? So, I mean, I always talk about like the next concert that I'm going to go see, or, you know, what I just went to, or a festival. And so I'll bring that into my team meetings, in that, like, what are you going to do? Like, what is your passion? It doesn't have to be work all the time. So like that levity is, I think, what I bring.
I think what you just tapped into, that was awesome, because it's ultimately about like bringing humanity to people, and like having empathy for people, and seeing, you know, people have like very complicated lives. We all do. So
Yes.
I've seen the way you are with your team, and like with us as like an outside partner, and it's just very rewarding to get to work with you and work with your team. And we love all like working with all of you. It's been so much fun, and we're, you know, we're excited to continue to do it. So
you betcha.
all right, awesome. Well, thank you. I really appreciate it.